interesting news about my friend who died about 7 years ago, Chris. He was pronounced as having a heart attack. Now, Chris, he went to the emergency room. Now, like me, they put an EKG on him, and it was normal. So even though he was screaming in pain, they didn't find anything wrong. And in several hours, Chris went home. Now, Chris, 2 days later, he was found in the shower, dead. They didn't get an autopsy, but they called it a heart attack. It was described a heart attack in the death certificate. Now, for me, I know for myself, if I would have died, the EKG was normal, and they didn't do an autopsy, they would have called it a heart attack. There has to be so many misdiagnoses and what would you call it? Mistitles, misnames on a death certificate, because it could be the aorta. It could be an aneurysm. It could have been an aortic dissection. Now, even though I was lying in the hospital, when I went to the hospital, they put that EKG on me, and they were telling me I was just going to have to wait my turn. And I was screaming. I was screaming profanities. That's when they came in and told me, I'm just going to have to wait my turn like everyone else. And a moment of guilt hit me because the words I was screaming, I started to yell, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then a blood clot got in my leg. I was bleeding out, but a blood clot got in my leg. And they had to rush me up to the operating room and start putting blood in me until they figured out what was wrong. They can only know what's wrong with an aortic dissection with a CAT scan. So once they put me in that CAT scan and they knew what was wrong, they flew me to another hospital. But there are so many people that go to the emergency room with chest pains. They get put on an EKG and they call it normal, and they just go wait their turn. And they didn't get that blood clot. John Ritter, Alan Thicke, so many other people that I can name have gone to the emergency room, had that normal EKG. It wasn't treated in this emergency anymore. Then they died. And the ones that can go home because it was dripping slowly and it wasn't ruptured yet, they're going to die at home. That's going to get registered a heart attack. I'm so tired of this happening. What happens when I go to an emergency room? What happens when I hear stories about other people that go to emergency rooms? Even after having an aortic dissection, they can tell the person they had an aortic dissection, and there must be a protocol of the emergency room. So hoping the news that I'm going to tell you, 2 major medical groups, thoracic and vascular groups in the United Kingdom and the United States, have called the aorta an organ. It's not just a blood vessel. Now, it does get blood and oxygen and nutrients to every cell in our body, but they found out that the wall of the aorta, it has its own muscles, and it can sense how fast your blood pressure is. And it can constrict if your blood pressure is up. It can set off hormones throughout your body that's needed. So the aorta is now going to be called an organ. What happens when it's called an organ, hopefully, is people will start to learn that in high school. Imagine you have to learn what grade you start to learn every organ in your body: the heart, the lungs, the brain, the kidneys, the liver, the aorta. And what are the functions of the aorta? Now, I just told you they can help control your blood pressure. They send hormones throughout your body that's needed. And it has its own brain structure. It's not with your autonomic. It's not with your autonomic nervous system. Has its own brain structure of knowing how fast the blood is flowing through your body. It's amazing. It's going to be an organ. It is an organ. And that hopefully will change emergency room protocol. Imagine sooner or later you go into the emergency room with chest pain. EKG is normal. And they're still worried about you. The next step is going to be a CAT scan. They're going to find that aortic dissection or that aneurysm that burst in your aorta. And there are surgeries that will fix it. I'm a 13-year survivor of a major aortic dissection, and I'm still going. So there's hope if they get help in the emergency room with a better protocol. It will let people know sooner that they need this emergency surgery. Doesn't that make sense?